Everybody, this is Leah, and we are so excited to be back with you today. And we are rolling into the month of October. I cannot believe we're almost at the end of October and into November. That means we are going on 4 months of being with you all and our show. And so excited of how we've grown, developed. We are finding our own lane, our own niche, and growing with you all and allowing you all to grow with us, get to know us, flow with us, and just even us growing closer, even as Elijah. I was speaking to a friend of mine and telling her that we're so busy that I think this is one way to just ensure that we even just get to talk once a week. So thank you for just making sure we get to talk once a week. That being said, we're going to just go ahead and jump into our show today. Our topic today, I think, is one of our favorite topics. This is National Arts and Humanities Month, and so we are going to celebrate and talk about, discuss the life of one of the greatest icons in dance and arts, and that is the late, great Alvin Ailey, who has made an impact on all three of our lives, and as well as dancers worldwide, we all know. And so we're going to talk about his life. This is also National Bullying Prevention Month, and so we're going to discuss how bullying has affected his life, but particularly the arts, and how we've all encountered bullying in certain ways. And so I know sometimes when we think about bullying, we kind of think of it kind of like the bigger kid, little kid on the playground, but bullying appears and presents in so many different methods in so many different ways. So we're going to talk about how it affects and presents in the lives of those of us who are creative and artistic, because it sure does happen.
Yeah, so, black and gifted.
And how do we face it? How do we deal with it? How do we prevent it? How do we handle it? Right. And so we're just going to have some fun today and just enjoy. And then because, I've heard from so many of the people who are watching and listening how they have enjoyed getting to know the three of us individually. We're going to share with you some of our experiences. All of us have been in the arts for over 20 years. Some of our experiences that we've had performing, dancing. All of us have done choreography professionally, and then I have had the experience and the blessing to do choreography and directing the staging in the last years. So without numbers, it was like doing math. So and so we're going to share some of our experiences, and the blessing of our experiences is that we have had the I'm saying these eyelashes ain't no joke today. We have had the blessing of working together on multiple projects, and so maybe if you sit still long enough, you will hear some of our stories of us doing a couple different shows together, which has been, I think, for me, some of my greatest projects and experiences working with my sisters. And hopefully, fingers crossed, that's what they have to say about me, or this is my last show for the series. So, let's get right into the news for this week. I forgot to say last week, because we had so much going on, and Broadway dimmed the lights last week, but we lost one of the greatest icons in television, movie, stage, film, and that was Angela Lansbury. And I think maybe I was just in shock. She was 96 years. And so because of who she was, Broadway, Dim the Lights, because she definitely did a lot of acting there. And so she will be missed. Wasn't an avid watcher of Murder, She Wrote, but of course,
it's on one of those two. I watch it on there. I think it's on Tubi.
Yeah, I honestly didn't watch it as a kid when it was on, but I grew to watch it as an adult. It was part of growing up, but I think I just found more value in it and her acting abilities as I got to be older. But she was.
I remember watching it as a kid.
It was on, like mom and dad would have it on. It just didn't capture me when I was younger.
Right. Yeah, it's like that.
Because she was already older, so I was like, this show with this old woman. It just didn't.
It was some people like, ooh, that's on. Let me check out that new episode of Murder, She Wrote. Yeah, no.
But it definitely became something that I appreciated. I appreciated her more. Like I got to know more about her. But I will say this, the more I got into musicals and shows, like she can sing and perform. Yes. I think that just made me trace her and all of her work. But she absolutely will be missed in her work. So I wanted to make sure I said that at the top of the show. A couple more things in the news. So, when you do what you do for so many years, it is hard to stop. And so, Ellen DeGeneres just ended her show 5 months ago, and she is already back doing a new show on her YouTube channel, which starts very soon. After 5 months. And so I can just imagine when I first read it and I thought, gosh, she didn't even sat still long, but it's hard.
She pulled an Oprah then. Because Oprah quit. Like, no, I still see you on TV every time.
They just left the studio. That's what they did.
So I'm still looking at a lot of Oprah.
I think we look at more Oprah now than we did.
Yeah. So I'm like, no, she didn't quit.
So her show is going to be called, her YouTube series is like a docu-series. About Time for Yourself with Ellen, and it follows her keeping herself occupied with new hobbies while she's unemployed. I don't know if you're unemployed when you're
unemployed,
ma'am. Ma'am,
that's the wrong word.
She wasn't even unemployed. She has so many projects. No, ma'am.
Okay. I want to be her level of unemployed.
Thank you. So, you unemployed? Okay, well then I want that then. Whatever that is, I want that.
So today is October 21st, and the movie Black Adam hits the theaters today. Who's going to see Black Adam?
I'm planning to see it. I don't know if I'm going to see it, but I do want to see it.
You know what? I'm so out of the habit of going to movie theaters. The thought of getting up and going to a theater is a very taxing, daunting.
Really? It's like, I'm already tired when I think about going. It's like, man, I have to go to the theater.
I don't know. The only thing that I feel like I need to get up and go see is Wakanda Forever. We got to put the money in and the people in the seats for that. My guess is they're turning around stuff, getting it on HBO Max and stuff like that. That I'm assuming this won't be in the theaters very long. But Dwayne, there's nothing he does that I don't want to see. I mean,
that's really the only reason I'm watching it. To be real, like I don't care about the DCEU, so I'm like, I know I'm going to see it because he's.
You gonna say that? You gonna say that with both? You gonna say that out loud?
I'm saying it because I'm like, I need to round out my watching all the movies. No, it's because Rock's in it. That's the only reason. I don't need more reason than that.
Our fans, Angelique said that. Remember, that was the youngest said it. I did not.
I didn't say. I'm not picking a side. I said I didn't need to know more about that story than Dwayne's it.
Right, and that's how I feel. I don't know much about that story.
I don't.
Like, I know who to go to get it. I just have not sat down and had the interview. But here's something I learned today. Now, this is a tiny spoiler, so if you're not a person who likes spoilers, close your ears or mute your laptop or your phone at the moment. But I did find out today that this movie also marks the return of Henry Cavill as Superman.
Oh, okay.
Okay, well then, I'm definitely going to see it.
That makes a huge difference.
So, my understanding my understanding is mid the credits at the end of the movie, there's a statement that's made and he comes back. So it's Viola Davis's character says to Black Adam, I'm going to bring back someone to keep you in line, and Henry Cavill is introduced, and it's like here's Superman in this character. So, and I guess they were working to bring him back for the last 6 years. So
that'll be wonderful.
I heard he was the favorite Superman. So
I can't speak to that, but I know
you know who my favorite Superman is. But I'm for but my favorite Superman is no longer alive. So
it is what it is.
And so I'm a fan of Mr. Cavill. So
Oh yes, huge fan.
Who was the Superman? Was there a Superman after him?
After Henry?
After yeah.
Nope.
That's all about to say. I didn't think so, but he did say he wasn't going to be Superman again. I remember him saying that.
Yeah, he was the last person that's played that's put on the cape.
It's kind of sad. All right, let's keep it moving. So this week marks the we'll say this year marks the 20th anniversary of the video of Christina Aguilera's powerful song Beautiful. And so she re-released the video in an updated version that currently affects particularly young women, but young people in general today. And I got to watch it, and I was very impacted and appreciated her updating it, because I think when you have a video that's very thematic and current to a time, I think more artists should consider that. When you think about stuff that maybe was impactful in the 70s or 80s or 90s, because the world, especially when you deal with social media and even mental health issues, the world is so different in 2022. So for her to take that and now deal with body imaging and social media and all those things, I just think the group of young people that it will impact today, it will mean so much more to. And I love that song and I love that video. It meant a lot. So I appreciate her. So, kudos to her. Thank you, Christina, for caring. And she's one of my favorite artists of all time. I remember when she came out, I remember hearing that voice and just, she was so young and just kind of just being like, wow. Of course, she's a Mouseketeer. So,
and I don't know about I even like the album people say they don't like of hers, and I'm like, oh, that was a bad album. Oh,
it was a very good album. But I don't know if you all felt like it.
It's a couple other ones people were like they didn't like, and I was like, oh well, I had this thing on repeat.
It never really totally let me down. But I don't know if you all remember this when they re-released, brought back the Mouseketeers, and so this was like the early '90s. I was very much determined. very, very much determined.
You was on your way.
I was going to be a Mouseketeer.
How'd that work out for you?
I was going to be a Mouseketeer and I was going to be a fly girl. These was on my vision board.
That's slightly different. They have a slightly different image.
My path has gone a little bit different, but I see where I was headed. I was going somewhere.
You was gonna be entertaining somewhere.
I was going to be an entertainer. I saw these things. So in the news, now this came up in the news, and I just want to ask you all a question. I don't know if you all saw this. So Kelly Ripa, who I love since General Hospital, all my children, excuse me. Got my ABC soaps messed up. I was all my children, General Hospital.
With Mateo.
I used to sit all day long. So she just released her memoirs, and there's a big kerfuffle between her and Kathy Lee Gifford, which I think is so unnecessary.
Kathy.
Because she commented on her experience working with Regis, and she said it was a struggle the first couple of years because Regis really wasn't kind to her. And so Kathy Lee has made this statement that she refuses to read the book. She feels it's slanderous because Regis was like a brother to her. He was nothing but good to her for 50 years, and she just couldn't believe anybody would say something so heinous about Regis. So okay, Kathy. Here's my thing.
Why did she think that they were going to have the same relationship that she had?
And she didn't say she hated him. She just said the first few years it was rough.
And here's my thing. And remember, Regis was getting older.
Yeah.
So, and they just, like Chantilly said, they would have had two different relationships. People can have this two different truths. Neither person could be lying. The only reason why I brought this up, because I kind of read it, was like, do I speak on it or not I speak on it? We, all three of us growing up in church, growing up in the public eye, dealing with city officials, dealing with all these different things. Have you ever had someone that you truly loved and respected that you knew, and when somebody told you something about that person, it kind of floored you to hear something different than you knew about that person? That you kind of thought, well, I never knew that, but you know, inclination could be to say, that's not my experience, but to be so defensive to come against somebody, like, that's
I've
not
never reacted to that degree. It's been, you know, just like the mild, like, oh wow type of reaction, not
right.
Like, nuh-uh. Like it was just like the, you know, like, oh wow, really? I wouldn't have thought that.
I have had that with someone where it's like, I don't know that person. Like you're saying something I've never heard, I've never experienced that, but I've never felt the need to destroy somebody else's character, because if that's your truth, either you are lying or that's your experience. Because I've also been in Kelly's position where what I'm saying is not somebody else's experience, and someone else is telling me, well, I don't know that person like that. Well, you don't know that person like that. This is my experience. So, but this is playing out.
I think Kelly
in
would
public.
be all right if Kathy don't buy her book.
And you know what I applaud Kelly for? Kelly's response, because what she did was she drove up Kelly's sales, because the book is only been out for a couple weeks. And the book really wasn't moving, and now it's flying.
Because people want to see the tea.
But what Kelly said to her was, thank you for not reading it. And I appreciate her for taking the high road, because she could have went to war with her. Why?
Living her best life. Girl, don't you go let Kathy drag you down for some ridiculousness.
I read that and I was like, Kathy, go do something else, please. Go play
exactly. And don't nobody sent for you, Kathy. And I'm pretty sure that she was just Kathy and Regis. I think he was still a lot older than Kathy, but I think they still was closer to the same age than Regis and Kelly. And also Kelly had to prove herself because she came from soap operas. And they also tested a lot of people before they got to Kelly, so maybe he wanted somebody else and not Kelly.
I think it took them 2 years to hire her. It was a long time before she was hired.
And again, she didn't.
And he's older. Once you're older, I mean,
that's what I'm saying. He was much older and older than her. So
and been in the game for so long.
He was probably already tired.
She didn't besmirch his name. She didn't say he was going to doing criminal stuff. She said it was rough them first few years. That's basically all she said.
She spoke her truth. That's her truth.
She didn't say nothing else but that. Just, it was rough.
And I can respect Kathy just saying, I don't want to see anything about my friend that would change my memory of him.
Saying it's not true, it's something else.
You kept that between you and Kelly. You didn't need to do an interview about it. You didn't need to, or she's done a few interviews about it. So
because she wasn't doing because what is Kathy doing though?
Thank you. When the last time somebody was looking up Kathy Lee?
That's why.
She got her little vegetable vitamin commercial. She got out. I'll stop. We can go with the show.
As was already said, wasn't nobody checking for no Kathy Lee. That's why Kelly is like.
She couldn't wait to talk about that book.
That's why Kelly is like, all right, Kathy, all right. I'm gonna go ahead and get this check.
You know, okay, this made me remember something. When Kristen Wiig, remember when Kristen Wiig does when she was on Saturday Night Live, she did a Kathy, what's her last name? I'm forgetting now. You know how I'm talking. Right. She used to do an impression of her. Yeah. And to see, I think that Kathy is kind of a mean girl because she likes to crack jokes on everybody else.
But it's like,
and she likes
you like, is that a joke?
Right, like,
because I feel
but then when somebody tries to, poke a little fun at her, even in fun, she's like, I don't get it. I don't understand. That wasn't the right note. I don't sing like that. Like, golly.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I had to like go back and look at like old clips of Kathy Lee because I was like, that's not really how she was, right? When I was looking at Instagram,
no, she was like that. I even remember an episode they had. I remember an episode they had where they had a lady, a person that came out that had like different, just basic inventions, and it had something that like you put in your mouth that would show if you needed like a mint, like if you just had bad breath. Mm-hmm. And she would not put that thing in her mouth. And I remember she was like, "Oh no, I decline. I'm not putting that in my mouth." And I was like, "You brought the person on your show, don't you?
You knew what the thing was. How you going? What do you? That's like inviting somebody, a vegan chef on and being like, "Oh, I don't eat vegan." Well,
gargle before you come out and chew some gum, and you won't have no problem.
You knew what the invention was, Kathy. You knew. You know how this job works. You know you're supposed to try it.
I will never forget that.
I would have made some Altoids before she came on. So just all right, let's try.
I'd have been eating them
not
things
like
Altoids.
Well, I would have rebrush and between segments.
What, brushing, rinsing, flossing, Altoids? You're not gonna catch me up, boo boo.
For real, then let's try it. For real,
when she coming on, I'm finna detox until then.
Now let's try this. I would have been twitching. My breath would have been so big, just watering. No, man, you ain't gonna embarrass me. Yeah, she. That's what I'm saying. I'm not surprised that Kathy Lee did that. I'm just not, because she's an old mean girl.
Not an old mean girl, dang.
And not
I don't know if I'll call her old, but okay.
But I'm saying, when I'm talking about like the mean girl from the movie, like she never got past that.
Right, she never matured past that.
Like she just was like, yeah, I'm still this. Like, not a good look. Okay, that's what I'm saying. Kelly, girl, do you? Do you? People still checking for Kelly.
Very much so. And her husband and her kids. So
all 50 of them.
Got 2 kids. 3 kids. Is it 2 or 3? Anyway.
Are they 2?
Is it 3? It's 3.
You sure it's only 3?
It's 3.
She was popping out a lot at one point.
It's 3. It's 3. She just had them close together. She did like I did.
She was always
like I did. Handle this. All right. So this is National Cybersecurity Awareness Month. And a lot of us, our lives are on our smartphones, our laptops, our tablets, and we are just typing away. We are tapping away and probably not stopping to think totally if what we're doing is secure until something blows up, locks us out, or we have gotten ourselves a nice little virus. So Angelique has always been the person in our family who keeps us all safe and efficient and secure. And so she's going to take a few minutes to give us some helpful information and tips on how to keep all of our beloved, because where would we be at this point in life in 2022 if I didn't have this laptop, this tablet, and this phone? I wouldn't exist. So kind of keep ourselves up and running and secure.
So, it's something people do know, some people honestly don't know. Definitely, especially if you're on the internet, not like a casual, but if you do things like work or have important things to do on a computer, look into getting a VPN, check, find one that kind of does everything you need, has what you want. A lot of them you can put on different devices for one price. You can put on your computer, your tablet, your phone. You can just have them everywhere you need to have them. A lot of people, always push you can use them to switch, and now you can be watching Netflix from France. Well, I mean, yes, but the security aspect of it is what the goal is. So those are definitely good. Definitely good to have if you're a person that travels even in the U.S., not even out the country, but like travels and you're on like hotel Wi-Fi, cafe, public, stuff that's not really protected. Definitely look into that, because it takes 2 seconds for somebody to be in your computer, just waiting. So definitely protect that, especially if you work, because like I work from home, so I don't need people having access to stuff that my job sends me, and vice versa. So they pretty much want us all to use VPNs for that reason. Not constantly, but regularly change your passwords, especially to your important things like your bank, things that are connected to your credit card or debit card, like your Amazon account or things like that have access to your money on them too, not just your bank. Regularly change those, and don't change them to a name that people can guess. Don't change them to a word that's like, okay, well, I put these 2 letters in, now I know the rest. Like, it's really they really recommend changing them to just like a random string of numbers and symbols. And you can get password generators that'll do that for you and save them. Just, if you do that, put them somewhere you'll remember them, because if you're doing that, you will lock yourself out your stuff if you're not careful.
I did that, and I locked myself out of everything.
Yeah, so if you do that, just kind of be aware. Just write it down somewhere. And be like, okay, I forgot what that was. Those are 2 things that I have to do for work, because they make us change ours regularly, and I just do just in general try to keep up with that, because somebody hacked into something I had and decided to place some orders on something. Thankfully my credit card and everybody was like, oh no, that wasn't you, we so sorry. And I got the money back. But it's thankfully I have things that like tell me when stuff is spent, or else I don't know when I would have noticed it. So definitely just kind of protect your things. Don't use the same password for every single thing. A lot of people do that. They find one password and everything's that password. Don't do that. Don't do that. Those are the major things. And, don't give your password out to everybody. Don't put it out. Just even sharing it to like Messenger. Just be really careful and protect your passwords. Like, everybody doesn't need to have passwords to everything. Everybody doesn't need to know your Wi-Fi password. Everybody doesn't need to know the password to this, that, and the other. Just really protect your security. Protect your stuff. Like, protect all your logins, your electronics. Like, really just be aware that if you give this one person your password, okay, but they're going to give somebody that password. And so you just really want to be careful when you're doing things like that. And those are the basic things. There's a lot of other things you can do that are like way more serious, but then that's when you get into like corporate levels. If you're like, just the basic things for a personal user that's not doing anything major, which other than that, they'll probably provide you stuff. It's VPNs and change your password regularly. And make sure you're choosing good passwords.
Oh, and those will do worst things. Yeah, because I'm like, no. I'm so bad about that. I'm not even gonna lie. I don't got time for all that. But I have been hacked a few times, so I have had to do a little bit better.
You'll find the time. It'll take you about 2 good hackers for you. Like, you know what? I can figure out some time to get these passwords.
I have been hacked, and I have had money stolen. That'll get you right. That'll get you delivered.
I found some time. I found some time to do this. I can squeeze it in.
Thank you so much, Angelique. I was just thinking, if you've ever worked for a corporation or a corporate job, which at one point Angelique and I worked for the same Fortune 500 company, if you handle business like they handle business at your home, those type of practices will help you. And I know for the company that we both worked for, you literally had to get to work early just to be on time, just to get into your system.
Yes, because you had to log in several different things.
You're swiping your badge to get into one door, and then you're swiping the badge to get into a second door, which they're tracking you everywhere you walk in the building. And then when you get to your desk, it's a password to unlock your computer. You cannot use the same password to get into the first system. And there's a second system that you get into so there's the first system, that's the mainframe, that's just the computer system. There's the actual company system, that's the second password. Then there's the second system that you do your login. Yes, so that's 1, 2, 3 passwords. Now she was a temp. I was permanent. So I had 4 passwords to put into. That's literally like you needed to be at work 15 minutes early. And you pray nobody speaks to you.
And not to mention that it was an automatic when you had to do a new password
every 30 days, and they count that down. They will count you down.
And now you forget. If you forget, now you're like, oh, I gotta reset my password before I even get into the thing.
They would send you a reminder. I think it was like 5 days ahead of time. But if you forgot on that 5th day, you were just locked out.
Yes, till you would put a new password in, because I'm gonna tell you.
Oh, I forgot. You also had a password on your phone.
It was just like you are passworded up.
And there was a different password on and you could not repeat the same password on each system. And it would tell you just use that password on a different system.
Yep.
So
you couldn't repeat on the one.
And you could not repeat the same password that you just used. They were like, "Oh no, you just used this password."
Oh yeah, they were serious though. But I mean, we were handling people's social security numbers.
So
it's like you gotta have that on lockdown because you gotta know who's having access to it. So
and so much was saved on our systems on a day-to-day basis and everything. So. I was just thinking, even with what I do for my personal business, because I do handle my clients' information and different things, that I need, just my own business, that I need to do better. If I handled, my laptop, my phone, because my phone was stolen back in March. And because of what I was doing, my phone was unlocked because we were filming a concert. And so I was moving around a lot with my phone unlocked, but in leaving my phone unlocked, it just hurts to say it. And leaving my locked, the way that I had my phone at the time, my bank account was accessible, my Uber accounts were accessible and this is the honest truth just for me, and I had to learn a lesson about myself. Because of things with my health, I try to keep my life simple. So I have a lot of things where there were no locks where you could just get into it. Now I have facial ID where only Leya's going to be able to get it. But the person who got my phone, they didn't just steal my phone. They stole close to $1,500 from me. They stole from my bank account. They rode around Fayetteville, North Carolina on my Uber account. They ordered off my DoorDash. They ate good, they rode good, and they spent well. So God bless them. And they got an iPhone 8 off of me. So that was a very expensive lesson to learn.
Like your lover. and I even took so many things out that saving cards and stuff. Like no. I
had to learn that.
Because I'm like, nah.
Yeah, and I had every card I owned was in there.
I was like, yeah, I got y'all now. Go ahead, try. Ain't nothing in
all
there,
of my cards. All of my cards is in there. So no, I pulled a lot out. So I appreciate that so much. Thank you so much, Angelique. I would appreciate if you would type that up and put that on the social media. Okay. That would be great. So moving on, this is also National AIDS Awareness Month, and we've been very open about where we stand with the LGBTQ community. There are multiple letters and even some symbols in there, but y'all know we love y'all. So
I'm gonna say rainbow.
We love all the alphabet. So
like the last thing I remember was the LGBTQ plus, and then now it's like an I and an A somewhere.
IA and other stuff. Just know our hearts beat for you. So with this being National AIDS Awareness Month, all of us have friends who are in the community. All of us have friends who have been affected by HIV and AIDS. I myself have not only had friends affected by it, I've also lost friends to AIDS. So it is very important to us to number one, encourage those of you all who have been affected by it. For us to let you know that we love you, we embrace you, and then just give you some information on it. And I know Chantilly's going to say it, but I also want to say it. It does not matter to us who you love, what your status is. We only want you to be safe, and we want you to be aware, because we want you to be alive tomorrow. So Chantilly has some information for you.
Okay, this is from positivepeers.org. So there's 4 things that they say you need to do. First is educate yourself. There's I know when I was younger, there was a lot of misinformation about it, and it could be people who still believe that. And there's also people that just don't know anything about it at all. And because so many people have been affected by it, it's really ignorant not to educate yourself about it, but especially if you have someone in your life who does have it, and if you're going to support them effectively, you need to educate yourself. Okay, so that's number 1, educate. And number 2 is listen to them. I want to say what I want to say in the right way. Sometimes people can be judgmental, and sometimes people can be know-it-alls, even if they're not the ones that have the issue, they can still feel like they know more about it than the person who's actually dealing with it. And I think that, especially, I don't want to always be harping on church people, but older people, or maybe church people, I was listening to some earlier today, and it was about mental health and how TD Jake's daughter was apologizing to church people she called it church hurt, and she was talking about mental health, where they say, church people would say, pray it away, or you have whatever mental health issue you have because you're possessed by a demon, or because it's a demon and you just need to cast it out. You're not praying enough, that's why it's affecting you. So you want to stay away from acting like you know more than the person does. Listen to them, listen to how they're thinking, how they're feeling. If just be sensitive to them, so that's listen. And the third thing is encourage treatment. And that's another thing. There's a lot of misinformation, and people will be like, well, just eat 5 grapefruits. Just eat 5 grapefruits today,
Okay.
Or drink, people have been healed from AIDS, in a lot of different ways, but you should still, and I feel, encourage treatment, and also encourage healing, or maintaining it. Encourage, this is me. They said encourage treatment, and I think that you should, but I also feel like you should encourage people to heal in the way that they feel the most comfortable with.
Yeah.
Right.
If you feel like it's misinformation and you just got to say something, once you say your piece, let it go.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Say how you feel because you love them. After you say that, leave them alone.
Right.
Let them heal in the way that they feel like they need to heal. But also, I think people are staying alive a lot longer than they used to, and staying healthier a lot longer than they used to with AIDS.
Mm-hmm. They definitely are.
Yeah. And be good to yourself. This is for you, the person. Especially if you have someone in your life who has it, it can take a toll on you. If you're a caregiver to anyone, or a friend to anyone who has a illness, it can take a toll on you, So you also have to take care of yourself. Make sure you are in the right space, because if you're not recharging your battery, then you won't be able to do anything for anyone else. So those are the 4 things that it says on positivepeers.org.
Thank you so much, Chantilly. I really do appreciate that. I remember growing up.
I just got the name. Oh, I'm so sleepy, and my brain just just kicked into what positive.
Yeah, that was cute.
Wow. I'm thinking, positive, like positive. Positive. Got it.
I need you to join us. Come along with us, darling.
Just clicked. I was like, you kept. I was listening, like, yeah. Then you said it again. You said, okay, positive. Oh.
Dip some more of your mouth too, baby. Get it.
My brain is like 3 years back.
I remember growing up though, in the 80s, because I'm a little bit older than Chantilly and Angelique.
Okay.
I remember growing up in the 80s and just hearing AIDS was such a, if you heard someone had AIDS, you just were preparing for that person to die and die soon. Or you just thought, if you heard someone had AIDS, you were preparing for that person to die. And unfortunately, the stigma behind it was, especially growing up in the church, and being Black, the stigma behind it was so, I'm just be honest, very unclean and unkind.
Yeah.
And it pains me to even say it, but it's just the truth. And now in 2022, it almost, like I said, it almost just hurts to even just repeat that, because I would never even think that if someone told me they had AIDS right now. Because number one, I'm so aware, which was the same then, but I'm so much more aware now. There's more than one way to contract HIV or AIDS, first of all. But more than that, I just have grown as a person. Number one, and our parents are always listening, whether it's currently or on the playback. So, I have to say, and we're always saying thank you to our parents. Whether you like it or not, that is not going to stop. I have to say, I'm so grateful that they taught us to accept all people and love all people. And so but in my growth in life and really understanding, we love to say we want to be disciples of Jesus and we want to be just like Jesus. We grew up saying these cliches, but I wonder how many people really mean the stuff that they say, because I'm saying, if Jesus could be around lepers, if he could touch a leper, I don't have a problem being in the company in the midst of a person with HIV or AIDS, hugging that person. In fact, I make it my mission, because I know how they've been ostracized and how they've been taught and how they've been treated. So, I think now, and when I'm around people now, it is, how much love can I show this person? Because I know how little love they normally get, because they're used to ignorance. Because number one, I know it's taken them courage. If they've told me, how much courage did it take them to tell me? They trusted me. But growing up as a child, that was the thing that people whispered, So, I really appreciate like Chantilly said, when someone tells you to listen, because they're trusting you. They're trusting you with more than just telling you their status. Yeah. They're telling you so much more than that. It's the same thing, but it's similar. I won't say the same thing. It's very similar to when a cancer patient is talking to you, and I'm in cancer rooms and cancer support groups all the time. And a lot of times people treat us the same way. And it's kind of like Chantilly said, when people are quickly trying to give you a remedy and they do us the same way. And it's, you need some turmeric and you need, this, and that. And I'm like, I just told you, I was like, I didn't ask. And so I'm very quick to tell people now, don't fix me. I didn't tell you I was broken. I give you my diagnosis. And if you keep talking, I won't talk to you no more. And so people do the same thing with HIV and AIDS patients. And I know some people want to help, but if
they didn't ask you, if they didn't come to you for that, don't offer that.
It don't feel helpful. I want to tell you,
like unless they specifically came to you for that reason, most people aren't coming to you for tips and tricks. They usually just talk.
And I know when it comes to chronic illnesses, terminal illnesses, we're all kind of told some of the looniest stuff, and we're gonna move on with the show. But I mean, I'm sure all of the stuff works for certain people, but then when you start telling me stuff like, you know, you need to drink your fresh pea in the morning, and I just met you, I'm gonna need you. I'm gonna need you to know your boundaries too.
That's a no.
I don't want to have that conversation with you.
I don't want to have it with anybody.
You would be surprised if people say to me. So, I mean, when they first meet me, like when I'm first telling you I've been diagnosed with cancer, and they were like, "Have you tried?"
Nope.
I can't tell me people have told me to drink my urine, and I know you for 10 minutes.
I feel that.
I have heard it in your stuff.
I have heard that it works, but I need to open the door
you gotta be there.
for a urine conversation.
Yeah,
Right. You gotta be yeah.
And that's not a new "I just met you" conversation. That's not a
right.
That's some.
That's what we've been friends for a very long time.
Yeah, that's not
Talk
just.
for years to be suggesting something like that.
And y'all relationship gotta be close. Not know I've known you for like some years. Like we tight. Like I don't even know if I would suggest that to you. I don't even know if I would feel comfortable bringing it up. I'd be like, I'm gonna send it to you. I can't tell you to your face. I'll send it in your email.
It's that, and that's the other thing. As soon as you meet people and they will say, "I gotta send you a bunch of stuff," and I'm just thinking,
you don't. I promise you don't.
And I will have my email, just full of YouTube stuff, and I'm thinking, I just met this. First of all, I must move on after this. Sometimes what's offensive is you don't know what I already know and what I've already tried. That's offensive. Yeah. That's insulting. And I know that HIV and AIDS patients feel the same way. That's insulting. You don't know what has worked for me or just what I've resolved for in my life. So
I think it's not even that they're doing it more. It's easier to access people than it was. So it's like people think if they see you overweight, well, let me just send you a bunch of stuff on how to lose weight. Did I request any of this? Like now I'm mad now. You know, is that, you know, I've had people tell me all kinds of stuff. Let me see stuff about eczema. Didn't ask for it. You know, so I think a lot of people kind of just...
And everybody was trying to drown me in that stuff, and I'm like, I could find y'all if I need you. I need you to try to...
But I think the weight loss one is always going to be the most offensive, because I'm like, somebody has to ask you about that. You do not just send people stuff on how to lose weight.
As soon as you meet somebody, I got something that's going to work for you. Like, I couldn't want to be 400 pounds.
Block and remove. Look at that. We solved all our problems today.
Now bust you in your mouth. You ain't gonna like that.
Like, don't just... How you just gonna just boldly... You might as well just say, here you go, fatty. Like, that's all it looks like. I cannot take this any other way. Because the only thing I know is you first saw me and the first thing you notice about me, oh, she's fat. That's because if you just out the blue, unrequested, you didn't even see anything else about me, but she need to lose weight.
Not only you saw me as fat, but you saw me as a cash cow. Because not only did you see that, make sure that you tell some of your other friends about me. So not only do you think I'm fat, I hang around a bunch of fat women. Okay.
I lose weight without getting it.
And I'm not using your little herbal teas to do it.
I'm like, no, if that door is open, then that door is open. If it's not, don't just send stuff to people about anything. Because I told you, the ones I've gotten is losing weight, which I never got people sending me stuff, and I got a whole plus size model page, so I'm like, obviously my issue isn't right there right now. And then eczema. Oh my God, so many people, this is what you do for eczema, this is what you do for eczema, this is what you do for eczema. Is
like you haven't tried anything.
Really? I'm so surprised. I've never tried anything for eczema.
But that's how I feel about cancer. And I'm like, do you know who my mama is? You think I don't know nothing? You think I haven't heard
they send me, I'm like, I already know I can't use that. I already know I'm not, like, go. Again, if I didn't ask for that, don't send people.
That's when you have to exercise that good church girl smile and just go, thank you.
Yeah.
Your cheeks hurt. Your cheeks be burning. So, this is National Arts and Humanities Month, as we said earlier, and we are talking about one of the greatest icons in dance. And he was more than a dancer. He was a director, he was a choreographer, he was a performer, he was a composer, and that is Alvin Ailey. And I know for me, he's one of my mentors, and a person can be your mentor without you personally meeting them, speaking to them, encountering them. And he's been impactful for my entire life and continues to be. I continue to learn from him, garner from him, glean from him. And I'm so thankful that he was just born, that he was here. And I'm thankful that he was the best possible version of himself for the entire 58 years. Only 58 years that he was on this earth. I think that in itself is just amazing. Some people are in their 50s and still don't have a clue who they are. And yet he mused, he squeezed every bit of himself out of every moment of his life. If we could even just learn that, we would be amazing. And so there was a movie that came out, a documentary. There's multiple documentaries on his life, actually. But there was a documentary that came out on Hulu last year entitled Ailey that really delved into his life. And so we're going to discuss that some, as well as one of the most prolific pieces that he ever did, entitled Revelations, which I got to see in person about, I think 12 years ago now. So, and let me tell you something. When you see any work of his live, you are never the same.
No.
And so we're just gonna get right to it. So how did you feel, number one, watching the documentary?
I just feel I felt like I enjoyed seeing like more about him, like him as a person, not just Alvin Ailey, but like him, like knowing more about him and how he got to where he is, why he decided, like what pushed him, and like really just getting to know like that. I like seeing that side of people. I'm interested in not just his body of work. That's really all I ever knew about him, like just him as a choreographer. So like getting to know him as a person and all that. That's I just he went through a lot and he did a lot. So yeah, I think I just enjoyed seeing it.
I did too. I learned a lot more about him. That actually even helped me understand why I chose him as my mentor when I didn't understand, because I identified with him in ways I didn't even realize I identified with him. Even his creative process, his ebbs and flows were very similar to mine. Even the way that he choreographed. And I actually even thought about you, because I was like, some of that looked like just like Angelique.
Yeah, like that was what I was watching. I was like, oh, whoa, that's it. That was just in my mind. Just wait, wasn't it? I was looking at some members of pieces like, that was what Alvin Ailey.
But I really got him, and I felt like in my own way he got me, and that was just very touching for me. But Chantilly, how did you feel watching the documentary?
It made me remember a lot of things. First, I remember first time I think the first time I remember hearing about him was on when his dancers were on Different World.
Yeah.
And then I was thinking about how different PBS used to be.
I know, right?
Yeah.
It done come a long way, child.
Old PBS ain't like new PBS. PBS got fancy.
I was like, I've seen all these dancers before, and I saw them on PBS.
Yeah.
PBS used to be able to watch ballet, opera, concerts, all kind of stuff. Now it's like, I don't know, because my kids watch PBS on the app, and they watch what they want to watch on PBS. Even everything they do cartoons now. Everything is just different.
Yeah.
I mean, they used to do cartoons, but you know what I'm talking about.
Not like these cartoons.
So,
it was the endowment for the education of the performing arts back when we
right. And I was like, now the reason I think that they were asking for so much, they used to ask for so much money all the time, is because they wanted to they knew that they were going to have to change everything up, I think, if they didn't get the money, because you won't see the stuff that you used to see on there now, and I don't even know where you would see it now.
Right.
Not really anywhere, really.
Not that caliber, no. That was so common when we were growing up.
Yeah, I just turned.
It was always on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because the first Alvin Ailey stuff I remember seeing was the black and white hymns. Excuse me. And it was 6 of them doing Revelation. It was like six little people. Same choreography, but it was like just 6 of them. And he wasn't as big as you see the other pieces when they're in color, and it's way more people. So like that's the first time I remember seeing him anything with Alvin Ailey. But again, it was PBS and the VHS from the library.
Yeah. I definitely remember my first time seeing him was on PBS. It was a PBS special, and it was Revelations, and it was another piece.
Yes.
And I was thinking when we were preparing for tonight, what first impacted me, like what made me who I am, and it was around probably 5-6 years old, and it was seeing Nutcracker at 5. But I applaud mom and dad so much because number one, they kept the arts in front of us, period.
Yeah.
But they were very diligent to keep the arts in front of us and showing us people of color, and always letting us know this is who you're supposed to be, and this is the people that look like you. So we didn't have a false sense of reality. I mean, at the end of the day, the arts are the arts. I'm a very big proponent in saying one thing about the arts is it's the one thing that can allow you to go anywhere you want to be and express anywhere you want to be without color in a way. But when you are the person of color, you want to be led by people that look like you. Seeing those pieces impacted me even when I didn't realize it, and so much so that when I saw that, when I was growing up watching Fame, and it was something else, I couldn't remember what it was.
That was another school I wanted to, I know you.
I knew Debbie was going to be my teacher. Nobody was going to lie to me about that. But so much, so I saw so much color artistically that I actually grew up with a false sense of what the artistic world honestly was. It was far more brown than what it was, and far more accepting than what it was. Yeah. So I had some reality to experience on my own. But I honestly would rather have that false sense of awareness than not. So I appreciate them keeping those things in front of us. And then growing up as a teenager, learning more about like Dorothy and other people, and then realizing, wow, it's been some trailblazers, and I must just segue and then come back to it. I appreciate the people who worked. I just have to say this because I'll forget. People who worked to keep things in front of us and do the work. And he's the father of all these people who did this, right? Mm-hmm. So when you're looking at Dorothy Danger's story and these people that we saw like growing up when we first get introduced to like Lynn Whitfield and things like that in the 90s, but I hate when things are remade, right? But honestly, when Beyonce did that Carmen opera,
right? I remember that.
Be careful.
She has to get a ton of credit for that because she brought an awareness to a group of young people that would have never had it.
No. Okay, because I was like, be careful.
Now, you know I won't go say nothing about no Beyonce. You
not on Beyonce's internet, you not.
Watch yourself. Okay, where we going?
Watch that thing.
But I haven't read. You some Leah's fucking line just went completely out, y'all. We so sorry.
But all of these, and she continues to do that with Black is King and all these different things. But all of this,
without that,
all of these things come from Alvin Ailey. All of these people's work came from, he's a father of all of this inspiration, and it made me who I was, all that I was getting to, the way that I think, the way that I move, but PBS was my beginning training ground and the first mark of watching, and you could turn it on all the time and see whether it's dance or hear singing and see. Sometimes you don't see kiddie stuff was during the daytime. That was in what was that, Sesame Street and Electric.
Daytime. Because afternoon is over.
Yeah.
Other than that, he was listening to the art.
Like kids that weren't even.
Because I remember watching opera in the afternoon. In the afternoon. Yep.
You watch Sesame Street and Electric Company during the day, then it would replay in the afternoon. But other than that, PBS really belonged to adults. It is very much now belonging to children.
Yeah.
It was three things that also four things that I thought about. Number one, it reminded me of that dance song thing that you did. We did Carry On. I could see how you were inspired, how Renee was inspired by that. Or did Sister Yolanda do that?
She did it. I sang it. She did it.
Okay, because I was gonna say something about her too. Because it reminded me of it really reminded me of Sister Yolanda. And it also reminded me of I don't know if Angie knows it, but when y'all said that, I was like, Angie must have been really influenced by him. Let me see. The other thing was Alvin Ailey was innovative and groundbreaking, but if you look at dances now, especially African American or even dances in the church, you can see how a lot of people were influenced by him. And so, and that's a good thing, but also he shouldn't be the only one. Exactly. I think that we should keep inspiring and keep motivating dancers, period. I think they also should get paid more because they are athletes. And we should also keep
Uh-oh.
I bet that was good too.
I know. She was on a roll too. Oh no. Alicia froze when she looked at
you. People who dance and do.
We missed part of what you said, but I bet you it was good.
It was good. We got it on our spirit.
we felt that. We felt on the inside. But it's we got it.
Yeah, I was just saying we should keep inspiring other Alvin Aileys.
Yeah.
Alvin Ailey.
I definitely agree.
No, the way you call him, his name was Alvin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would call him Alvin Ailey all the time.
I was wondering if you watch Alex Ailey. Yeah. I was like, what is Alex Ailey?
Alex's roots. Two different people.
So I was like, okay, I don't know why you was watching Alex Ailey because
I'm like Alvin, Alan, Ailey, Haley. What is going on?
I wholeheartedly agree with that though. One of my things, I haven't done training, because I used to do conferences for years and workshops, and I stopped in 2016. I just felt like I had said all I had to say. And I think everybody goes through this. I just kind of got tired of repeating myself and not feeling appreciated. And so I just kind of felt like I'm done, I'm retired. But in these 2 years of the pandemic, and you sitting watching YouTube, and I was kind of like, what's going on out there in YouTube land? And really feeling like, okay, it's probably time for me to say something again. And it is time for me to say something again. And not that I know everything, God knows that I don't, but I've been doing this a long time with the Holy Spirit. And one of the things that I've always taught and had a big problem with, especially with the onset of YouTube, because I predate YouTube. That's a scary reality.
I know. When I think about it, I'm like, ooh, I remember when there was not a YouTube.
But when I have talked to dance teams, and they would tell me that they've learned everything from YouTube, and I'm just like, y'all don't pray about nothing. you don't try anything.
There's things you can learn from YouTube, but anytime I've ever heard, I've learned everything from YouTube. I'm like,
or they'll say like, this is my favorite choreographer. I watch all that they do. Well, you're never creating. You're never letting anything come to you, because you're getting what you don't even know that you're getting, because your mind gets set on that other person's move. You become that person. I have moments in my creating where I can get stuck, or Angelique and I have this conversation all the time, because she's a lead choreographer for PD Community Arts team, my team. And in my I can see it, but I can't see it. Yeah. So I may look at, I'll know the song. I may look at somebody else's movement just to see, and I just want to see movements.
Yes.
But I'm not looking to study someone else's choreography, because to me, the real truth. And then we'll get back to Alvin Ailey. Guess what, y'all? That's called stealing. And I hate to tell y'all that. It's not. Yeah. You may think it's flattery. You may think it's emulating.
When you pick up wholesale, not a movement, when you just take somebody's choreography of that same song, and then you do the same exact choreo to that same song.
And you showed it, and you showed it and credit them, ask them, or thank them.
An influence. That is called a copy.
That's the same thing as plagiarism. It's theft. Yeah. And let me tell you something. When you start rolling with the big dogs, they can sue you.
Go ahead, get out there and do that.
They can sue you. They can sue you for their work.
Now I can say, especially when I'm actively choreographing. That word every time. This many years in, I have to always stop and be like,
making up movements.
When I'm actively choreographing, I don't ever watch anybody that's doing any dance to that song I'm choreographing.
Right.
Or any song I have to choreograph. But I will
once it's in your head, it's in there.
But I will watch dance.
Right.
In general. And that'll help me just create watching dance. But I never watch anything that if somebody did something to the song, I just won't. I don't care if it's a music video. Like I can't watch it, because even if I'm not trying to, it's so easy to just pick it up and do it, and you're not even realizing you're doing it. So I'm like, hence why when I look back at myself and I'm like, ooh, that is a lot of strong Alvin Ailey influences in some of this stuff. Yeah.
It's easy to pick something up. It is very, very easy. And once it's in your head, you can't undo it.
No. But thankfully, a
one
lot
of
of
the
my
things
stuff is influenced by him. I wasn't just revelations in it.
Rocking my soul in the bosom of Abraham.
Hell yeah, I wasn't just like I wasn't just being like everything. I was what? This looks familiar.
No. I know I had to do Wade in the Water one time, and I struggled because I've been watching Revelations my whole life. And so it was like, how do I not emulate this movement I've been watching since I was 6 years old? Yeah. So it took me, it was crazy, because it actually took me longer to choreograph it, because I had to undo
Because
what
every
I
time you ready to
knew.
do a move, it's like, nope.
It was like, up, 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 up.
That's too. That's the same. They did that in that too. In a Thomason. Nope. No scoop.
My shoulders tip. My shoulders tip.
No dip and scoop. You can't dip and scoop. You know that friend quit playing. Tyler, you trying to catch the Holy Spirit? You know that was in there, so quit playing. Quit playing. No fans, no umbrellas, no parasols. Out. Tyler, you want material? Oh, you want them to shiver? Oh, no, you can't do that either.
And that was the number one thing. I was like, there will be no props.
At that point, it's like you dipping your toe. You dipping your toe in.
Okay.
So you know it. You gonna be up there with the. So don't do it at all.
I think I did do where we pulled the skirts out because you just kind of couldn't. We did do that, but I did it different. Yeah. But I still did it a little bit different, and we did do it. We did do the shoulder a little bit,
a teeny little shoulder.
But I wasn't in it. I mean,
how they do?
And now there's way you can.
Homage,
person's movement.
Yeah.
Right, you can be influenced, and you're not mimicking. So but it was. I'm trying to tell you, it took me probably 2 weeks to choreograph that piece where I can turn out a piece.
Head. It's in that piece.
I literally was tired. Like when I was like, just take it.
It's about to be Alvin Ailey on this stage if I come on now.
Was exhausted doing this little piece of music, but that also meant that how much that meant to me, because I still wanted to be respectful of his work.
People just did it and acted brand new.
I have seen, especially, let me tell you, around February, these people will bust out some Revelation stuff, and they either totally reproduce it, and sometimes really not well, which to me is even more insulting. Don't touch it.
Alvin Ailey is like Bob Fosse. Like, if you're going to reproduce the moves, they gonna have
better
to
do
look
it
like what they look like.
and you show us better do it.
Because Alvin Ailey's moves are if you go do it, you gonna have to.
It's Ailey, Fosse, Graham, Horton. These people, they stuff everywhere.
The moves they are what they are. Either some people just be like, you shouldn't have did it.
And Boom Cat.
Yeah.
Yes. That is so funny.
We know this.
It was so funny. We
know this.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of Boom Cat, this is because I'll forget it when the one guy, I already forgot his name, but the guy that was doing the choreography for the new pieces, and they was teaching, and when that man started going 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and I was like, oh.
That's Angelique right there.
I said, I will give you noises in a minute. You will get maybe an 8 count to start, and the rest is ha, 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 ha. All right, let's go.
Keep your better that way. You do that and you snap too, but you keep your timing better. Like, you don't have time for words. You keep your timing better with me.
And I'm not gonna sit here and count 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. We're not doing. I'm not doing the 2 and 3 and 3 and 4. I'm not. We're not doing that all day.
And when this is over with, you have to watch Debbie Allen's Netflix special. You will find your life in Debbie. Oh. If you think you saw it with Alvin, Debbie is your kindred spirit.
I love me some Debbie.
Debbie is your kindred spirit, because Debbie also don't play. Debbie get up in your face.
Debbie I've seen her choreograph stuff, and I'm like, yes, Debbie, I see you. You can be nice after. Right now, I see you. I'm nice after, but right now, nope.
Gotta get the work done. Yeah, I feel like next to Alvin, I love Debbie, and I also love Judith Jameson. Like, I feel Judith too. Yeah. Judith has that look. Judith don't. You can't clock Judith. They be trying to please Judith, and Judith be like. Is that the move? Is that what you got?
I don't know what you think you finna get out of me.
And that is absolutely me. Like, I gave it to you. I need it back. But I will say this about Alvin Ailey's life that I didn't know. I'd heard things about him when they talked about him being manic depressive, which now is called bipolar.
When that lady was saying he just grabbed her, like rolled up in the curtain, and I was just was like, because I remember like this is like the second, third time I've seen it, so
and he had a full breakdown, you know, where he was even institutionalized. I hurt for that, and I hurt for that because I hate that it took so long for certain things to be diagnosed and discovered, because I've heard that about a few people. I was even watching last week the life of Freddie Prinze Jr., which he killed himself at the age of 22 at the height of his career. He was bipolar too, and they had to do a full autopsy on him to even realize it. But they were saying he was manic depressive, and they just didn't know what to do with him. And I think, unfortunately, most creative people are also battling with their mental health, because there's this fine line that we walk. Like, to be the best creative person, I think there's a fine line of crazy that you kind of almost have to walk.
I was about to say, just say crazy.
Say it. You got
to say
it.
Myself.
Say what you mean.
I even said it about myself, because I remember a friend of mine saying to me, "I would love to just get inside your head," and I was like, "You don't rattle around up in here, like it gets wild."
I don't even like to be in there sometimes.
You know, I don't want to be there.
I need a break.
Really? For you?
No. I'm at the height of me creating. Like, what hits the stage is not all that's happening.
No.
In here.
A lot has been filtered through.
Thank you.
And you're not taking into account, you don't understand the depth of insomnia that I battle with. Like, how many nights I can go days and I don't sleep. That's not a fun feeling. And I understand those huge, almost uncontrollable bursts of energy that to somebody else looks like, oh, they're just super happy. That's not what that feels like in here all the time.
That's you want to believe.
That really does feel like this. And then you know that feels like a rush, and then you're trying to bottle it, and you know it probably looks crazy, and then you're trying to harness it. Like, you're always having this war in here.
Yeah.
I feel like when you're someone like me, I don't know you all's experience per se, but I think when you also put it on, when you're dealing with being a liturgical person or dealing with religious arts, you're then also dealing with, you extra have to look a certain way. So he probably didn't have the war that I deal with, because I'm knowing I have to be packaged a certain way. I have to look a certain way. I have to sound a certain way. So when I'm knowing that I'm really off kilter, and this is just my truth, don't like my truth, that's fine. When I really, really am dealing with dancers and I'm dealing with artistic people, and I really, really want to cuss somebody out, I can't do that. They would hang me. But please believe those days happen for me. Like, really happen for me. These days, when my moods swing, I just really don't want to talk. And if I'm triggered, I want to throw stuff around the room like any other director does. But if Minister Leya does it, I'm wrong. But if it was just a regular temperamental director, you'd say, oh, they're just being impetuous. Oh, they're just being moody. If I do it, I'm out of order. And I'm being carnal. And my soul needs to be under control.
Not carnal. I ain't heard that word in a minute.
I mean, you girl.
Carnal. Woo.
Carnal. Okay,
but that's so I'm dealing with a double war. You know what I'm saying? So, but I think that's another reason why I stepped aside from doing productions for a while, because it was after the last two that PD Community Arts team did, I felt like I was absolutely losing it.
That last one.
I just was just, and who could I tell that I was losing my mind? Nobody was going to understand that. So, but that honestly is the truth. I felt like I was breaking.
That last one, it was a lot on that last one.
And here's the thing, too. There's a difference between choreographer, director, and artistic director. And when you're the director, when you're the choreographer, you're responsible for everything that all the dancers' movement. When you're the director, you're responsible for the artistic vision of the show. When you're the artistic director, you are responsible for the house. You are responsible for the entire show. You're responsible for the financial side of it. You're responsible for the promoting of it. You're responsible for the cast. You're responsible for the start of it, the conception of it, the start of it, the promoting it, the finish of it. And if it don't happen, that's on you too. So when the last two wasn't, especially what the first two were, it was starting to be, well, what's wrong with her? Y'all kids wasn't showing up.
There you go. Who you can't work with somebody that ain't there. Yeah, they were getting real squirrely.
I was mourning that my biggest principal dancer was gone. That was Miara. Like, people wasn't even understanding. And listen, I mean, all of us have been principals before, like just the main person that someone relies on, and then know what that feels like too. Like, when you have someone as the person that you know I can go to, and then your go-to is gone, that's hard to rework.
Yeah,
it just really is. And it just was a lot. And it wasn't just that Miara was gone. It was, she was in my heart, but we didn't just lose Miara. We lost Miara, Alicia still. I'm just using names, Lord. I mean, but this part to me is not secret. But we lost my child, and then one went to Job Corps, one moved away, one was leaving, going to college. It was like 5. We got hit at one time, and so that was like my front line was gone.
Yeah.
My heart broke, but it affected me mentally. You know, all that people don't bounce back from. So, and then my husband was leaving me. Well, my husband was cheating on me. And then he was leaving me. And then I was battling with my health. And I think that it just was a lot. And so I just kind of felt like I'm done. And I think what even hurt was, this feel like therapy. Y'all should be paid for this. I guess I'll send y'all some of your cash out.
That's true. Yeah, let me know if you need to tag.
I think what hurt even worse was when I stepped back, that nobody checked. No one said, we miss you. Nobody said, we don't want this to happen. It was like everybody was like, good. But then I was like, oh, so I guess it didn't matter. That hurt even more. But when I think about someone, I'm nowhere near as good as Alvin Ailey. When I think about someone like him, that he felt he had to hide it, number one. If I felt I had to hide it, that he felt he had to hide it, hurts. I know what it feels like to think that you can't trust people, because people will use your failure against you or your weakness against you. I wonder, outside of his health, would he have been here longer if his mental health wasn't the issue, or been addressed if he'd have had a stronger support system? You know, because your mental health affects your physical.
It does.
You know, because he's only 58. Like, that's so young.
And I will say, watching with him, his wasn't even that people weren't there for him. He wouldn't let anybody be there for him and lean on anybody. because some of the people, when they, the people that were actually close to him, when they found out, they were like,
do you think he was that scared? Or he was that proud?
I think he was more feared because of all he had been through in his life up to that point. He wasn't opening up to anybody. He wanted it, that connection, but he was scared to open up to that connection.
But the people who
I felt like he needed to be a leader and he needed to be strong. He didn't want to show any weaknesses.
That's what I thought too. Because the people who offered, they weren't new in his life. They were people he'd known for years and years and years. So,
because as soon as they did find out, they were there. They were like, okay.
And that's what I'm saying. I know what that feels like when you just feel like I just can't, but that breaks you. It absolutely breaks you. So that's why I wonder if he would have let that be addressed. Would that have allowed him to live longer?
I don't know, as far as I don't.
Or better, maybe.
Yeah, maybe at least he might have. I believe he would have been happier.
Because he couldn't even love. No. He didn't really have a relationship.
They said he never had a serious relationship.
No. That's what I'm like, he struggled. All his I wouldn't say all, but his struggles were a lot on the personal side of things. Like he would push through anything that was professional, like, no, we're going to go dance. No, we're going to go do this. Y'all ain't got to like us. But when it came to the personal stuff, he didn't have that same reaction to do that on that side of it. Which is sad. It's just very sad. It's like, I'm happy when I hear all the professional stuff he accomplished. It's like when you hear all the personal stuff, this is like, oh.
It usually is sad on the other side. Like I watch a lot of celebrity documentaries, and I love hearing about old and new. But most of the time, on the other side, when off of the screen, off the stage, it's horrible.
Yeah. Horrible.
It's horrible.
They really struggle and suffer.
Yeah. I just saw. I know. I saw. I think it was a true Hollywood story of Judy before she.
You didn't say true Hollywood story.
It was something like that. I be watching all kind of but before the movie came out, that's why it took me so long to watch the movie, because I already heard how bad her life was. So then I watched the movie. Then I feel sorry for her and the actress who played her, and I was like, this is too much.
For who? Judy Garland?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, her life was
and they didn't even show everything.
No.
I'm sure they did.
Because I watched the documentary they had on Showtime about her, and I was just like,
and hers starts so young. Hers is just unreal.
And it didn't really ever get better.
Nope.
Not really.
And those child stars, like in her era, they were owned by the studios.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
they wouldn't let her eat, putting her on drugs,
telling her who she could date. Like, she was
calling her ugly all the time. Yeah, they used to call her ugly and fat all the time.
She was a product. She was a product. That's all. That's like the story that I always forget his name. The guy that from In the Heat of the Night.
Which one?
The no. Tibbs.
That was some depressing stuff. Didn't we watch it together?
We watched my city.
No.
You talking about the other
show,
one?
The show.
Oh yeah.
Like, the TV show. The guy he passed away of AIDS too, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Allegedly.
No, it wasn't allegedly. He did.
I don't want to get in trouble.
They say, because I ain't getting into that.
What did they say that he was?
At the time, nobody. I shouldn't say nobody, but he wasn't out So when he said he
was horrible.
It was like, oh, okay.
They say he used to like dress as a woman.
Yeah.
Like whether they say he used to say, I'm beautiful or I'm a woman or something like that.
It was a lie. It was just sad and like,
yeah.
You want to talk about depressing? He made Alvin Ailey story sound lovely.
That was depressing.
That was his. I was just.
That was depressing.
I didn't know. I was like, this is a lie.
So, ask you all, what or when do you remember? I guess we've all kind of said it, but when do you first remember being impacted by dance where you felt like this is something I can see myself doing?
I really can't say, like,
or performing, because I know Chantilly has probably danced the least, but she's always been a performer on some level.
I would think it would have had to been the first time I saw Sound of Music. I think it would have had to been that, when I just was like, what is this magical world? Oh, they're singing and dancing. What is happening?
Was it on the heel? Was it the heel?
I don't even know. I think it was just the whole thing, and it was just
the whole
like,
thing of it.
What? It was just like I can't think, because I can't pick like I can't even think of a memory where I just was like, I'm gonna dance. It was like it would have had to been that. I think that had more impact on me even than like 5 Heartbeats or something, because 5 Heartbeats, I like when it didn't have that same effect because it's a different type of music entertainment,
right?
But because I'm trying to think, was that the first musical I ever saw? That might have been the first musical I ever saw, actually. I don't know if I saw anything before that.
You were young then, because I think that's always been played in our house.
Yeah, I think that might have been even the first one I saw.
I saw it live.
Or I can remember.
I saw that before you wouldn't have been born, because I think I was like 6 when I saw it.
Yeah, so yeah, I think that's the first one I can remember, like first. So I think it would have been that was like when I got, as they say, got bit by the bug.
You got bitten.
And from then on, I just knew I was like, I want to dance too. That looks fun. So I think that would have been it. That would have probably been it.
I think for me, I know just distinctively it was seeing the Nutcracker when I was 5. Just when I saw that, I felt like you like, what? What?
Because I think I saw Sound of Music before I even saw The Wiz. So I'm like, that's what I'm thinking. I think it was Sound of Music.
I had seen dance and performance, before for sure, but it was something about the beauty of the point and the elegance of it and the move. It was mind blowing to me. So it was. That's me. That is it. That is my world. That is my world. But nobody told me that you just don't jump up.
Yeah, don't just hop up on point. You don't do that. You don't just.
That's a little bit they don't tell you.
Yeah.
But it was enough to just reel me in. So it was seeing Sound of Music when I'm not Sound of Music, but it was seeing Nutcracker when I was 5, and then around the same time I did see The Wiz. And so it was that's the dichotomy, right? So I'm seeing Nutcracker on one side, and then I saw The Wiz. So when I saw those two worlds, I just remember thinking both of those made sense to me. And I've often thought, because I've done so many interviews and been asked, what impacted me, but I always knew that I was more than a dancer, first of all. And as young as 4, what I always knew was I was going to be on a stage in front of people performing. That I always knew. so it was seeing The Wiz. I loved all the changes in the scenes that looked like a world I could relate to. And growing up, keep in mind, I come from a family of singers, so it was music that sounded like the music that my daddy played and sang and that I was used to hearing. So it was like, okay, that makes sense. If I could marry that to what I also see with Nutcracker, like I just, as a little girl, I literally remember like thinking those type of things. And it would be some time before I saw anything remotely that looked like that.
No. And I just realized, I said I probably wouldn't have saw that when younger, because I know by the time I came around, anything that would have mentioned the witch, I didn't see the Wiz till I was older. I just thought about that. That's why I was like, that's why I don't remember when I was younger.
When I was little, those in the Wiz, when they're in the underground parking situationship, and not the little guy, but when the homeless man has the little things and they start growing. Those are on girl.
Those things freak me out so much.
I remember the first time seeing that and losing all of my mind.
I was like, what is this? What is happening now?
I didn't need monsters and goblins and witches.
I was like, what
kind of demonization is this? And then the little columns came off. Oh no. No. Nah.
That gave me nightmares. That gave me nightmares.
That's like the only scene in the movie that bothered me. It was like, I was like,
he was just so slow, walking through. Who is this creepy dude? And where are those little things? And where are they getting there?
I was like, keep that.
That was
all of that.
That would tell you how sheltered of a household we came from. Because I was like, that was hell to me. If hell was anything worse than
with that little music in the, I was like,
That'll make you.
I was like, you could stop all
of
that.
Crazy.
I could not handle that. No. I remember that. And I was very young and I was like, I was not for it. I was not for the shenanigans. No.
I was just as freaked out as they were. I was just as scared.
I didn't even like looking at Eveline, like her face. Her face was too much for me. Like I just couldn't really look at her. But I also remember because we were just I don't even like to use the word sheltered, but my father especially was just he really did raise us very right, and so we just couldn't look at also sexualized images. So when they was doing Brand New Day and they took them suits off and them bikinis, Daddy was like, turn it.
I didn't see it until I was grown. I didn't know. I never saw the whole dance.
No, that's all.
It was okay because they was kind of weird looking to me. Like it was just like they was weird and then they was dancing. Like all the transformation part.
You can watch it up until them unzipping.
I never knew what happened.
You can listen, but you can't watch.
Not weird. I was like, I didn't even realize it was. I don't think I even knew they was the same people. I thought it was like a dance scene. Like I thought it was like it went from weird looking people making stuff to it's a dance scene now. Okay. I was like, they got dancers. They got dancers. Look at that. Get older, it's like, that's what happened.
It is a 9-minute piece.
It was a lot that Daddy was just like, negative.
No, ma'am.
Negative. That's not about to happen.
They were wearing very little, but it was a brand new day.
They was brand new. Very brand new.
I think some props on that because I don't know if I feel comfortable dancing in such little accoutrement.
Shani and I got close to it. And remember what we had to wear for that tap dance number, Shani?
Oh yeah.
I was like, she gave us some costumes. I said,
I was like, look at your little butt idea. She showed us she was so excited too. I was like, woman, are you serious?
was like, where the rest of my costumes?
Y'all's uniforms came in. I was like, I don't believe we did not talk about this.
No. Because she was like, all right, we just paid for them, and then she ordered, and then we had, like,
right.
I was like,
we trusted you. We trusted you.
I was like, do you see what I look like?
Like she act like we was a dance group of like younger. We was all different ages and all different sizes. Like, why would you do this, ma'am? She was so excited.
I was like, me and Shawty was like, whoa. Pump the brakes, Miss Blaze. It was just
and my skirt came off. The little skirt that we did have, mine came off.
Stop calling that a skirt.
Well,
that was not no skirt. It was
so embarrassed.
A red sequin leotard. And I mean red sequin, so it was like that's already like you can't hide nothing in that. Then we had these little, I don't even want to call that a skirt. This piece of something that you pinned onto it, and that was it. And I was like,
she was so excited.
Is it some pants?
Aaron.
Is it something?
No, that wasn't Aaron. It was another teacher.
Was it?
Because I don't think Aaron would have picked that.
No. Who was it?
It was I don't remember her name. I remember what she looked like though.
Was the tap teacher, was that the heavier set lady, or was that the short little skinny lady?
No, she was heavier set. She was like, she was
real like body confident and
hippie.
body positive, which was cool. But I'm like, that don't mean
everybody right there with you.
That don't mean I want to hop my butt on stage feeling like I'm dead naked. Like, ma'am.
She better be glad we paid her already.
I don't think, because none of our costumes that Aaron ordered looked like that. All our stuff looked like, clothes. Like no other teacher, like it was so funny because like that was the only costume that was like that. All of my other costumes just were like clothes, like one of them was like a long blue dress, one was like pants at the top, and then a swimsuit with a wrap.
Not a wrap.
That thing was not.
That's what it was.
Because it didn't even come all the way around, and it wasn't just because our size. It was just like meant to kind of just like pin and just kind of cover your butt.
Lord have mercy.
And you know what? She sabotaged me because she was like, right before we went up there, she was like, "Oh, my skirt isn't fitting. Can we switch? Because you can fit mine, but see something like that." So we switched right before we went up there, and she helped me put my pins back in, but she didn't do it well enough.
Cause Shotty just came loose, dangling on one side,
and my little skirt duster thing fell off while we was dancing, and at first I didn't even know. I just felt something on my leg, like what's on my leg? I looked down and it was just hanging on for dear life. I was so embarrassed.
Your whole butt out at that point, just your whole,
and I couldn't stop.
Just your whole behind was just. There it is, y'all. This is what I was trying to hide.
With this little thing right here.
And you just had to just keep on tip-a-tapping. Because I remember I saw it and I just was like, oh no.
I don't know, because I remember we was dancing, we had to turn and look at different people. Yeah. And when I looked at you, I was like,
Shuffle it. Oh no!
I was trying to tap and look and talk to you with my eyes at the same time.
You see what I see?
Down, girl, go down.
I was embarrassed.
I am out here.
I mean, it was just a leotard, so when that came off, it was just your butt.
Yes,
and then Erin, after we went off the stage, she telling everybody this is a family show. I was like, oh, this is amazing.
For them last few minutes, it wasn't no family show.
And if I would have kept mine on, it would have stayed on because I made sure mine was.
Because I was
locking.
We was peeing. Look, if this is the only security we got, this about to be. If I could sew it on right now, I'd sew it on. This is not coming off. Because I was so mad because I'm just like, I was never a flat chested there, so I'm like, oh, this is out. This is out. My thighs out. I was just so much was out. I didn't want out. I was just like, you better be glad I know how to hold it together because I was tapping in my mind. I was like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. No, because I think Erin did see, but she was like, she didn't. But it was like, it was too late. Man.
Have you put those outfits on the altar? You need to do that before next communion.
I think I tried not to remember it, and I just remembered it. It was just like, because there's no way I would have felt comfortable wearing anything like that. I don't think anybody liked it.
I remember seeing them when y'all did the dress rehearsal. I remember seeing them.
No, I don't think anybody. Well, I won't say anybody, but a lot of the people in that number did not like those costumes. Like, we had some adults and they were just was like, that's what you give little kids to wear because they ain't got nobody.
The little bitties.
You talking about grown women and stuff. People.
That's what you give the kid to do, heel toe.
That's what I was like. It was like all the most
right. Kids cute on them.
Yeah. The grown people was like. But I think it had the little fake one finger glove type thing to it. It was just like, did you just upsize a little kid's costume and a lot of others? But I thought I had moved past it. I remember now. Traumatized. I don't think Shawty ever said what the question you asked. I don't think you answered.
Yeah. I was asking what was a time that you can remember that you knew that this is what you wanted to do as far as dance or performance?
I always saw myself acting. I never really thought I could be a dancer, but I just know I like doing it. And singing. I don't know. Daddy, I think the main reason I wanted to sing was because of Daddy. Daddy had always been singing, so I don't know. I mean, maybe when I started singing with New Love, maybe. I don't know. But I always felt like a performer. Like I always imagined myself performing. Even still now, like I always just always imagine myself performing, even when I'm not trying to.
I do too. Like even when I'm listening to music, I end up on the stage. It's just
I don't have so many
doing something.
I on the stage, or I'm choreographing. The song becomes a production. It's just I actually was talking to my son earlier today, and I was telling him because I'll be probably moving soon, but I was saying I feel like I have one more production in me that needs to be done here in South Carolina. Like I haven't done a huge production in 5 years, and I miss it. And he misses it because he's done all the big ones with me, and I feel like now I've taken a break from it. Now after doing Daddy's concert back in March. And it was kind of like I got my feet wet again. It was like, ooh, I missed I think for all three of us, because we grew up in it with working with Daddy in the ministry and all that stuff, it's just such a part of my life that people probably wouldn't think this. And I think it has to be who you are. Yeah. I even miss which we used to say to each other, the go time. Like, remember when we used to be backstage or up go time? And I even miss the press of that countdown, that adrenaline rush.
Curtains up in 10. Oh my God. Because it's like that is like a rush. And then when it's all over, you just like, I'm gonna go pass out for the next 2 days. See y'all later.
But that like that 30-minute countdown, that when it's like, you know what, whatever ain't done at this point, this ain't done. This is it. That curtain's about to open, or the show is about to start.
3-4 different suitcases, because you got all kind of different pieces. Girl. You got dress changes and costumes and stocking up. I bought hairpins. I bought a pack of bobby pins. I bought because somebody always forget it, and somebody always need it.
I love that feeling. I absolutely love that feeling. I never saw myself as a director when I first got started. I didn't see that in myself. You know, for years I was a solo dancer. I take that back. I always saw myself creating, and when I was younger, like 10, 11, 12, I always thought I was going to be a video producer. That was what I thought I was going to school for, was communications and producing. Because when I would hear songs, they would open up to me like movies when I was younger, and I just didn't know what that meant. So I'm a 90s, 80s, 90s kid. So to me, I'm from the MTV video soul era. Obviously, I'm gonna do videos. Yeah. Because at that time, dance ministry was nowhere near what it is now in church.
Right.
So, and it definitely wasn't in Black churches. So there was no one for me to emulate or see or talk to about what was going on inside my head. So to me, the only thing I could do was create videos. And then videos wasn't even then. Oh, gosh. I see old videos now, I'm like, oh my God. How they've changed.
They're like 5-minute movies now.
So, but I just only knew what I knew, you know. But over time, there's always a part of me that was so dramatic. So even when I got into dancing, I didn't just dance. I was always acting out the song, would become the song. So even when I was by myself, people would always say, you know, when you minister, it's so different. And I only knew to become that song. And that was just how I trained myself. It was self-taught. So to me, it was more than just the music. It was always about the lyrics. It was always a marriage of the music, the lyrics, and the rhythm. And I had to know those three things. I had to know it inside and out. And then when I started working with other dancers and teams, it was the challenge of, I could work in my brain, getting what was in my brain to even articulate the insanity in my head yes. to 10 to 15 to 20 to 25 people. That actually took me a while, because it really would feel like insanity sometimes. And sometimes you're seeing multiple things happening at one time. My brain moves really, really fast. And so I talk fast when I'm excited. And so it was like learning how to slow myself down. I get frustrated really easy. I had to become a better people person. That wasn't easy. It wasn't fun. People didn't care for me well in the beginning. So I still didn't see myself as a director. I just thought I can put stuff together as needed. I guess I didn't see myself as a director till I moved down here. And no, I guess Malcolm really showed me that I was. My mentor, Malcolm Stevens. Yeah. He really saw that in me. And because he always said, you have an eye, you just have a natural eye. Because he would show me stuff and he would ask me, what do you see? And I would just tell him. And then he had come to some things that we had at the church, and you know, I would do these vignettes with the kids, and he would say, you do things that normal people just don't do. But I'd never thought about it. I just did whatever came to my head. And because I work with kids trust you, adults fight you. So which is why I like to work with kids. So but I had to still grow into it, and I had to really embrace it, you know, and become it. But now I don't see myself as nothing else. Like, I love a stage. And I remember also him telling me when we worked on one production together, and he said, every space isn't your space, you know, and, you know, we've all done things on stages. Now, anytime I walk into a space, I do whatever he tells me. He says, when you go into a stage, you go into a space, get quiet, and you let that space tell you if it's yours. Because he said, every stage isn't your stage. Then he said, if it's not your stage, get the heck off of it, because you'll desecrate it. And he said, if you're at a stage that's not yours, it'll kick you out. Yep. And I've been on stages that have not been mine. I've never had a horrible experience, but I had experience where I'm like, I probably shouldn't have done that. But I definitely know what it feels like to be on a stage where it's like, man, that felt good. And I remember him telling me there's nothing wrong with knowing you did a good job, or knowing that was great, and don't let no one take that from you. Because, you know, it's, again, when you grow up in church, everyone's like, you know, don't be too prideful. You know, don't get too full of yourself. But if you work hard for what you do,
thank you. Thank you.
Like,
I still remember when I finally got to see he lives in me, whatever, wherever he lives, on the actual stage.
He was everywhere.
I was like, he lives in, what you know what I'm talking about? On the actual stage, and I was just like,
oh my gosh. Yeah. Right.
You know, and then to hear, and it's like, because it's not even like, I can speak for me, it's not a pride thing, but to hear people clapping and applauding it, and I'm like, okay, they got it and they enjoyed what I did.
Right.
you know that's like that feeling, because it's like the whole, I was never in that piece. Like, I've never danced it, but like I'm on the side, like just as nervous as they are. Like, okay, all right, here we go. You know, so it's just like that feeling of when they get to the last thing that's done, and everybody's like, I was like, whoo, like I did it, we did it, y'all, we got it. You know, so
that's how I felt when they did Restored, the very first one, because it's like having a baby, it's like having a child, and you want people to be proud of your child, and when they are proud of your child, then it's just like, this, you see my baby, see my child, this is my child.
Look at him. Yeah, and I think, because I'm like, I know even because like everybody, I wouldn't say everybody, but like a lot of people always talk about that number, which is, I have like so many things about that number I did with Bleed for Love. It's not like I said his name right. Bleed for Love. And that piece, and it's always so funny because I still remember, like, we were done, and after somebody came up and told me, they were like, my pastor thought me and him were a couple, and I was like,
especially the
pastor also doesn't have much discernment.
Really? I'm like, yeah.
But you know what? The first year after we did Restored, I had so many people ask me, were you two married? The first year afterward. I would see people in the store and they would ask me, were you two married? But I think that means you did your job well.
Yeah.
And I think that's what mattered to me. That was the most important thing.
Yeah, so I'm like, because for y'all to think that, obviously, we
number
did
one,
our job.
There's a very big age gap between you two. So I was like, really?
And that ain't the only reason. That's why, like, he, like, because, like, I remember when she told us, we just both bust out laughing because we was like, yeah, we're married. Okay. It's like, you know, okay, all right, I mean, okay. No, there's just no. Not a possibility.
I think when we did Restored, when I first introduced PD Community Arts Team, the vision of it, one of the first big backlashes I got, if I can use that term, was that people couldn't understand what I was trying to do. And it was, how are you going to have a group of dancers and it's not a praise dance group?
That's what everybody
they either want to see a praise dance team or the quote unquote dance team, like a competition team, and they were neither. And so I was just like, just trust me. They're an inspirational team. They're going to do some of everything. And because number one, all those kids danced at their own churches. They didn't need to be doing praise dance twice. And I just wanted to showcase all of their gifts and talents. And so I remember a lot of people just saying, I just don't think this is going to work. Like you're in the South, you're in the Bible Belt. These people need to, okay, you're not for everybody. But what I remember coming away from Restored was, because Restored is the only show we did that had the most gospel pieces in it.
And it was the last.
But what I will say was the pieces that people talked about the most
were not any of the gospel pieces.
It was Bleed for Love and it was Miara's song. And those two songs were not gospel pieces.
And He Lives in Me.
And it...
That was it.
And it was pointing that out to people and then them responding back, you can't refute that. I can prove that to you. You want me to pull the lyrics?
Really? Like the three numbers y'all talk about all the time are not any type of gospel. One is from Lion King. One is about a married couple going through it. And Miara's was about...
That was about the single mother, the unwed mother.
Unwed mother.
And her song brought the house down. Yeah. She got a standing ovation. Yeah. So, and I'm proud of that because it just made my point that, the whole point of the team to this day is to deal with real life and real issues through the arts. And just having said that, as we're winding up, this is National Bullying Prevention Month, and we do it bullying, we do it racism. Alvin Ailey's two biggest things he dealt with was being a Black man and a gay man. And the way that he dealt with racism in particular, he felt was artistically. For me, there was a point with PDCAT when people were asking me, why aren't you being more militant? When we were dealing with Ferguson and a lot of different things, and people were asking me a lot of questions, and I just felt like I was making a bigger stand by keeping young Black kids busy and safe. And I was doing the same thing. Everyone is not super militant, but everybody can be in the fight in their own way.
And it's not even a correct thing to do. That wasn't our place to have these kids make that statement. These aren't our kids.
Well, it wasn't about the kids, it was about Leah is what I'm saying. I'm saying for
okay.
And my personal activism, my personal choice and my personal activism has always been artistic. My personal way to speak, whether it be writing, whether it be through dance, it's always been artistic and creative. But when it came for me, I felt like I can do even more by working with these young people and producing these shows, and they themselves ended up doing extremely powerful pieces when they did what's the piece by Sound of Blackness that they did that they became very known for?
And I choreographed that one.
Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
That which I actually put that up on the site when we're done. That they did multiple places.
People requested specifically.
Yeah, they did pieces and made stands that were far stronger than if we would have marched somewhere, in my personal opinion, or did anything artistically. And so I'm very proud of those type of things. But I was going to read a quote from him, which is, "Not all the works are political, but they are certainly reflect my feelings about what goes on in this country. I mean, I can't get over that. I'm a Black man living in this." And he goes on this, a statement is that, "As a Black man living in this, and as artistic director of Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater, I come to you and say our destiny is calling, one without hate, oppression, and violence, and it is our turn to answer." Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater was born out of the Civil Rights Movement and a struggle that called for Black people to be seen as human and asked those who believed in equal rights for all of us to use what they had to push the cause forward peacefully. Mr. Ailey chose dance as his weapon of protest, creating a legacy of artistic activism. And it is a weapon we have continued to use over the last 62 years. Our arsenal has grown with the addition of Ailey 2, the Ailey School, Ailey Extension, and Ailey Arts, and education and community programs. We mobilize and galvanize every time we step into a school or perform anywhere in the United States or around the world. We have radically changed the environments in which we operate, and yet we are clear there is more to do. Mr. Ailey once said, "One of the worst things about racism is what it does to young people. Yet we see that it is these young people who are leading the force for change. We stand with those who are on the front lines and those who put themselves at risk, combating hate and injustice. In unison with our community, we rise to fight racism and demand equal justice for our entire Ailey family. We are here to provide you the space, the hope, the example, the balm, the strength, and revelations you need through this struggle as we move forward together in answering the call." Gosh, that looks sounded good.
I think we just end it there. I think we just, I don't think we need to talk no more. We end it right there. I don't want to say nothing else after that.
That was from Robert Battle, who's the current artistic director of Alvin Ailey Dance Theater, and he is equally phenomenal in the works that he creates. So, and I agree with that wholeheartedly. That's why I wanted to read it. And I do believe that when we're dealing with racism now and the arts, we have to look at how it's impacting our young people and how do we arm them, empower them, and support them, and pour into them. And so for me, as an artistic director, choreographer, dancer, director, producer, writer, I can only give them my heart and my soul until I'm no longer here. And, I thought about this morning, I'm almost 45. Some people wash out at this point. Oh, I can't even, there will never be a day in my life that I'm not involved in the arts. There just won't be, I can still dance. I may not dance like I did 20 years ago, but I can still dance. But the one thing about the arts is there is a place for you. So when you don't dance, you direct. you stick and move and you transition. And we keep
going. Or you choreograph. You ain't got to always dance to choreograph.
You choreograph,
describe a move.
Pull out.
You can describe a move.
You become boom cat.
Really? I ain't got to do it. You got to do it.
And when you raise up the next generation of dancers to do your job and take your place. And so that's what we do. When we're dealing with bullying, as we wrap it up, I would hope that when we're in dance studios and dance spaces, that we never, number one, allow ourselves to become so awesome that you need to destroy somebody else, and that you allow yourself to stand by and watch someone else be hurt or unprotected, because it happens all the time. And that is not just racial, that is sexism, that is ageism, that is even creativity. If you feel someone is more creative than you, when you're dealing with the arts, I've seen bullying in so many different ways in my years of doing this. And we just have to be wise enough and caring enough to say, I won't allow this. We have to not allow prima donnas, which is one of my pet peeves. Somebody really may be awesome. I mean, listen, I have seen some incredible dancers in my time. I've had some incredible dancers on my teams in my time. I've had more than one team. And sometimes you even have to serve some humble pie to some people, and you just don't get to dance right now. Yeah.
Or because you are not the lead. You are the background.
You're just not.
Move it on back.
especially if you're now when you got tuition paying people and you're in schools, you may have to deal with things differently. But when you're, I've had community teams and different things like that, so your rules are always different. But you should never, I don't care on what the situation is, be allowing people to hurt one another. Yeah. But when you're dealing with divas and prima donnas and divos and all that stuff, that can cost people's lives. And so when we're teachers and choreographers and we have to stop that, and we have to not allow that, whether that means talking to parents, talking to students, talking to the choreographer, restaging, restructuring, giving somebody a little break, or whatever needs to happen. It's just all for the best, because we're dealing with, so it's hurting me to see young people's mental health being so affected by so much now. And then we're still dealing with racism in the arts, and we're responsible for handling that. We're still dealing with sexism in the arts, and
we're not even gonna go in. Let's not forget especially when it comes to females not having dancers' bodies.
Right. I was getting to that with body shaming and body positivity, and unfortunately, when it comes to that affects doesn't just affect women, because I have friends who are in the LGBT community, so that affects males too in dance, and they're anorexic and bulimic males, and we just all have to be better, and we just all have to care. So as we're ending our show for the day, I hope that we can all just make a promise to ourselves who are leaders to lead well, and lead from a healthy space and a healthy place, and lead from a place that allows people to have the utmost respect for you and the utmost love for you, and allow people to trust you in the best possible way, and continue on doing what you do and do it well. I want to challenge you, those of us who are in dance, theater, drama, any of the performing arts, to we asked some questions about our own beginnings. What was your beginning? What was that first time that lit your spark? What was the first time that made you say, I got to get on the stage? What was the first time that made you say, I got to lace up or find me some dance shoes, or I got to get my hand on a mic? I got to, and we just talked about singing, but maybe your thing was rapping. And so you said, I got to drop me a beat, or I got to get on the ones and twos and become a DJ. The arts are the arts, right? Mm-hmm. And so they're all inclusive, and we all work together. And so we would love to hear your story this week. And you know what? If your story is just compelling enough, we might just bring you on and do a 10 to 15 minute chat with you in the next coming weeks, because we want to get to know our followers and our listeners. It has been a pleasure to speak with you all, chat with you all. It's always great to talk with my sisters and chop it up. And so as we I'm so sleepy, y'all. It doesn't make any sense. This
is so he's like, nope, I'm gonna push through.
I'm tired. I'm done.
We're gonna push through today, y'all.
Where did that come from?
That's that time to sneak up on you, just smack you, like, oh, I'm sorry. I had to tell somebody
about this. You close to delirium, ain't you?
Oh gosh, thank you all for joining us this week. It's been a joy. And guess what? Next week we are being joined by the queen. Our mom is going to be on the show with us. We're going to be talking about financial planning and how to budget well. That is her specialty. If you want to know about money, she is the one. Yes. So you want to make sure that you're with us and on time. We're going to have a great time next week. So as we wrap up this show, so Leah can go to bed or at least get some caffeine. Thank you all. My name is Leah.
Here we go again. Here we go.
That's for the world.
Lord Jesus. We gonna do this again. We gonna do it one more time.
My name is Leah.
My name is Shana.
Lord, and I'm Angelique.
Thank you for allowing our family to be your family, and you please have a wonderful night.